Six sound check one. Okay.
Got another question? You came in?
Yeah,
Doing.
yeah, I can hear you.
I said we got another question that came in. I said we got another question. Read it.
Hold on. You see a question in the chat or an email?
Email.
Oh, oh, the manifestation one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I have any old write-ups on that?
On manifestation, um, in the practices,
I had one there.
you had a description on a practice you gave us about um focusing on something and then writing down everything we think about that comes to mind about a topic, and then using that to create action steps and so forth.
Mhm.
Um, was there a write-up on it? I don't remember. I remember the instructions in that class.
Got. I search to see if I have one.
If it's a write-up, I have it printed out. I don't think I have it digitally. So I have to go through my files. Well, let's go ahead and start, and hopefully I won't lose power.
Are we recording it?
What, this class?
Yeah. I mean, is it? Are we being recorded now?
Yeah, it's going out on YouTube right now.
Okay.
All right, welcome everyone. I'll just edit out that first 5, 6 minutes or so. Welcome everyone to another session of the RSS Review and Study series. We'll be continuing today with chapter 5. And chapter 5 will go into the remaining sections. Will go into, we'll cover the nadis. We'll have some discussion about the chakras. And we'll finish right before we get to chapter 6, which goes into more detail about the invocation and the power of sound. But today we'll finish up our study on the pranas, and then that'll be enough of a foundation to take us into our transcript of the courses. All right, let's open up with reciting the prayer for spiritual workers, and then we'll go into our session and also some questions that were emailed to us prior, and open the floor for any other questions or comments that you may have throughout today's session. Pray for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, aye, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right, welcome everyone once again to, I believe this is the third installment of the RSS series, Review and Study Sessions. We'll be continuing with our study of the 21 lessons, foundation of metaphysics. And again, you can find that playlist series on our YouTube channel. If you click or tap on playlists, it should be down here, 21 lessons on metaphysics, the foundation of mystic and yogic science, yogic teachings. All right, we're working our way through chapter 5 of Mr. Davis's most recent release, his prayer book, The Miracle Kit of Prayer. And we should finish up chapter 5 today, and then in our next session, we will begin with the review and study of class 1 of this playlist, the 21 Lessons of Metaphysics series. I believe that'll take us, depending on how quickly we move through the transcript and through the additional diagrams, illustrations, and questions and discussion. I'm giving us, I'm estimating about 2 to 3 sessions per class. Originally, I said I wanted to cover the first 30 minutes of transcript, but as these are the foundational lessons of the Mystic Yogic teachings, I decided to go through the entire transcript of each, or go through the entirety of each class. So class one, you see here, is about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. The class itself, a little over 2 hours, but not the entirety of that 2 hours is discourse. There are, some pauses and breaks in between, and there are some questions and discussion going on. And so the transcript will cover the entirety of the dialogue in each class, but there may be some parts of the transcript I'll skip over, um, depending on how the material is covered as we're moving through each review and study session. But the class is available, the playlist is available on YouTube for everyone to access and review and come back with any questions or comments you have regarding the material covered in the course. All right, let me stop that there. Let's see, announcements that we have. Let me see. Well, the same announcements as before. I'll let everyone know if and when the schedule for these study sessions and our lecture series will be finalized for the remainder of this year. Um, I do have several more trips coming up this year, so there may be breaks in our sessions on Sundays coming forward, but that'll be announced in advance so everyone will know when we have sessions and when we have breaks. We will be continuing to hold our weekly 12 blessing services with the Society Florida group, both online and in person, as well as commission services. And so if you're interested in attending or being a part of those services, we do have a meetup group dedicated to the Florida group Society, where you can go and sign up there and get announcements for our services. Or you can also send us an email and let me know that you would like to be added to a email list we're putting together for that, so that we can also send out announcements that way as well. All right. That's all I have for announcements. But welcome, Hari. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your patience. So before we jump into chapter 5, the second part of chapter 5, when we begin with the Nadi system, let's take a few questions. One in particular that was emailed to us. And this is a follow-up question to the information that was presented last week. It says, in today's live session, which was last week's session, you mentioned about manifestation and a technique that you can tell, or teach me about on how manifestation really works. It says they are an engineering student. They would like to get a good academic result. And so what things should I consider? She wants to know the knowledge about concentration, imagination with Dr. George King and 8 limbs of yoga. What further can I do to bring about manifestation?
I think, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think I said when I said that, I said go and listen to certain lecture tapes, and read some documentation on it. No one, I mean, I got an email, but they didn't indicate that they did that, because one of the things I don't like doing is giving techniques to someone who's not prepared to properly use them. But I could caution it by telling the people who, because I know there's a lot of information out there on manifest your destiny and all of this, but a lot of that information is not properly balanced, and it takes people to the dark side of things. And when you do these things, you need to do it for more for unselfish reasons than selfish reasons. If you want to achieve a goal and being a better student, then you need to be a better student so that you can give greater service to yourself and the people around you. Just not to stand on the hill. In other words, So that's the that's the warning. That's the karmic warning that we must give everyone who seek to do these things. The technique is a simple technique. It's something that you have to constantly do on a daily basis. And I talk in general. Maybe later I go back. I'm sure I wrote the technique down somewhere, and I'll make it available. I make the detailed technique available by request. But just to generally talk about it, the technique is it's a simple technique, but yet it's a very complex technique. And in order to do the technique properly, you have to have some knowledge of what you're trying to do. The same way you go and build a house. You have to know the procedure of building that house. Because when you try to manifest something into being, you need proper specifications. And it's the same way in the mystic world. And it's the same way because a lot of things in nature happen automatically when you line things up. If you line up oxygen and hydrogen, you have what? You have water. So the same way, if you build a ship and have sails on that ship, you could use the wind to push the ship wherever you want, as long as you got a proper rotor to guide it and to guide the sails and to guide the ship underwater. So it's the same way science works, because science is nothing but the study of God's creation. So everything that we go to do, it happens on the mental realms first. Everything we go to manifest or put into action on the physical realm, it happens on the mental realms first. So when we take control over our mental process, then we can control and manifest what we want to on the physical plane. So we predetermine our actions in order to create the proper results that we want. And it may happen in seconds, it may happen in minutes, it may happen in days, it may happen in months, or it may happen in years. But you have to properly energize that visualization in order for it to come about. And this is the ancient science of Jnana Yoga, of Karma Yoga, of Bhatha Yoga, of Pranayama Yoga, of Mantra Yoga and Mudra Yoga, and doing this technique. You use, those are like the major yogas you use in order to do this, and Raja Yoga, of course. Because the technique itself is a Raja Yoga technique. Because Raja Yoga is the mental yoga, but inside of Raja Yoga, you use the Nani, the Kama, the Bhati, the Mantra, and the Mudra in order to do the technique. And just to generalize what the technique is that you visualize what you want to happen. And in doing this, this is a sacred science. So don't do selfish things. Don't do things to cast spells on people. Don't do things to take the willpower away from people. Do things to only help yourself achieve a greater service in life, and or to make you powerful enough to give a larger service area in your life. But you create the visualization in great detail. You take time to study what you want to bring about in great detail. And this is done by, if you have a goal, then you list the objectives in order to achieve that goal. And then you list the action steps in order to create each objective. So by doing that, you can mentally build that image properly in your mind, because when you line things up in your mind, an explosion happens to link you to all the things necessary to make that object come into being. So that's why you want to organize your thoughts in order so that the image be real. Remember, a car was first built on the mental planes and brought through on a piece of paper with all the specifications needed to make that car work. The same way you have a house, you draw up the architectural plans of the house, and you make sure that the building that the structure is built with structural integrity, and you add all the mechanical devices to make it convenient for the house, which is AC, electrical, plumbing. You know, you make the roof, the structure is the walls, the roof, the foundation, the footers, the foundation, the walls, and the truss system. And then the mechanical systems, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So, and you make sure you have proper egress in and out of the house, and proper light to come through each window. So those are specifications. Now, when you get those specifications down pat in your mind, when you think about a house, you think about it in great detail. So therefore, you can help manifest that in real life. And these techniques, these yoga techniques, you manipulate energy. You use the prana. You use, after you use to visualize it, is Raja Yoga. to act upon it in a orderly, systematic way is karma yoga. To surrender to the karmic laws, and understanding that those are divine laws of God, is bhakti yoga, because you observe God and making sure that the laws are carried out properly. That's bhakti yoga. And then pranayama is manipulating all the energies at that particular moment to service the vision. Thought, mind energy, breath, vital energy, and motion energy, because you sit still, you sit still with the spine erect, and you control the non-movement and movement of your body only to redirect all the energy and impregnate the vision with that energy in order to bring it onto the physical plane. And you use mantra on a mental level, on a psychic level, a mental level, and a physical level, in order to manipulate and charge the energy. And you use the mudra yoga, which is either hand signs, body locks, and body movements, in order to redirect, redistribute the energy towards the image that you're trying to manifest. You do this on a regular basis with that particular technique, with the specifics of that technique, and soon you will find that the thing that you look to manifest, you will find that you have the resources made available to you to bring those things into being. And that's true. That's a true technique for manifesting your desires into the physical realm. What you would notice, remember, in the Constitution of Man, I constantly talk about the movement of energies. What you will notice is that if you do this correctly, you will find that things line up to help you manifest what you want to manifest. All the resources, whether it's financial resources, whether it's able bodies, technology, everything come into your orbit so that you can utilize that. Because by centering your mind and energizing your thoughts, using the great power of the Mother Earth, bringing down the brilliant white light or violet colored flame from the upper atmosphere down, charging that thought, breathing in and out, taking the energy off your breath, charging that visualization that you just brought into being on a constant basis, daily or weekly, monthly, things begin to happen. Your aura, the energy, the image began to feed off your aura and feed off the energies outside of your aura. And then it make things available for you to bring that visualization into being. So you have a task to do. And one of those tasks is staying correct, making sure you stay within the laws of karma and don't create negative waves for the thing that you're trying to manifest. And that is the yogic manifestation technique. Of course, there's some mudras in there, and like I said, if you write me, I will give those things out. And you can reach us through our email, Mystic Knowledge Center, Gmail, or Mystic Lessons at gmail.com. And that's the technique.
Okay, thank you. Get the chat window open here. Make sure I can see everyone's questions and comments. All right, so welcome to everyone who just has joined us. Today's session is a continuation of the review and study of the 21 lessons, the foundation teachings of yoga science. We will be continuing on with chapter 5 of the Miracle Kit Behind the Power of Prayer book, which is the second book released by Mr. Nehemiah Davis. Before that, I had a question, Nehemiah. Um, I was thinking about the 10th blessing. Um, blessed is the galaxy, raping knows the galaxy. And in that blessing, the Master Jesus states, "Blessed is the mighty Lord, is this mighty Lord, for it is one of the greater lords of creation, which is now sacrificing its wondrous self upon the plane of preservation, so that trillions of life streams may gain essential experience." And then so he goes on to say, so that thousands of inhabited worlds may gain experience, so that great and mighty suns may gain experience, so that solar systems may gain experience. And that had me wondering, okay, well, what what is experience and why does God need it? So I was kind of running that question through my mind, and it's kind of I couldn't understand why would the absolute need did it involve itself for the purpose to gain experience and then therefore to have creation return back as a conscious God, but why would God need consciousness? And what is experience?
Well, that's what we're taught. We're taught that the absolute took a part of itself and brought it out of this great stillness and all-knowing state to to a manifested involved state. And that manifested involved state, once something is started, it must finish. Once the absolute started that process, then it must go through the motions. It must go out and come back. And that's just the law. You know, that's one of the great laws, that if you initiate something, then you must complete that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when the absolute brought about this manifested state, then that manifested state had to complete its journey. And the only way to complete its journey is to going through a series of actions. And those actions are experiences. So that's where, you know, that's how we understand it. And the series of actions have to be correct. They have to be correctly measured and correctly on point in order to create the next action. So if you get if you go off beat, then you created multiple more actions to go through. You understand? It's just
Right.
like trial and error. If you don't mix the ingredients just right, then you didn't produce what you needed to produce in order to go to the next level. In other words, if you H2O, if you get it, if you do H3O, you don't get the water that can be utilized for multiple uh, things. You
Mm-hmm.
get something other than water. You understand?
Right.
So every action creates another series of action that you have to do in order to get to the next level. But if you get it right, then you just keep moving forward. If you get it wrong, then it creates another experience to teach you how to get it right. So it's just like we talk about the once a child gets burned, the child recognizes what heat and fire is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
once a child get experience cold, then it prepare itself for the next cold. So every experience gives you a greater level of understanding and consciousness to allow you to move forward. So when the absolute did involve a part of itself into this manifested state, because it's cutting itself off from the wide experience, from the wide awareness of all, into the from the whole to the not whole. You understand? It's
Right.
aware of it, but it's not fully aware of it. And that's how the teachers tell us. So now the full circle will bring us back into the fold of that awareness.
Mm-hmm. And it's those right actions, or, or those right experiences is what um, when Dr. George King talks about valuable experience.
Yes.
So when I thought about that term valuable experience, it made me think, okay, then there must be the opposite must be true. There must be invaluable experience, meaning experience that, like you're saying, um, creates more corrective actions.
It's not inviolable because it's always viable if you get to the next level. It's just that some people took a harder road than other people. See, and another thing you hear, which is you hear Dr. George King, not only Dr. George King, but other masters. But I think Dr. George King said it, in my opinion, in the most simple, understandable way. And a lot of people, they don't realize this when he said it. When he talked about the three adults and the six adults, and talk about the sacrifice that they made, and that they chose to go back through. They chose to take a part of their consciousness and go back through uh, uh, these experiences that they had passed maybe millions or billions of years ago,
Hmm.
right? In order to help guide and save and move humanity in the right direction. And by them going back through those experiences, they gain a greater understanding of the whole, you know, to a level that that hardly anyone can see, because they get to understand the laws of karma not only through uh, great levels of meditation in on the higher realms, but they see this on the lower realms as well, and see all the stupid mistakes that we continually make.
Mm-hmm.
So they can define it better. And by them doing that, they sacrifice a part of themselves that have to go through multiple layers of experience in order to get back to their original self. See, so is he described them sometimes as I don't want to get it wrong, but it's in his is in I think it's in the lecture he gave on the on the cosmic plan, and where he called them he called them like great lords of uh, almost like God-like to us,
Mm-hmm.
because of what they but because of what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they could have went on, they could have just went kept going, but they split their countries up and came back and spent centuries, thousands of years. I mean, go back to one of his lecture tapes on churchianity, the destruction of the Christian, where he said that these three adepts were there at the crucifixion of Jesus. That's 2,000 years ago. And they, and they wanted to stop that crucifixion. So
Mm-hmm.
here you have these great enlightened beings that could have intervened, that was there guiding humanity, um, for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord Babaji, for millions of years, for billions of years, they held up their own advancement in order to help, uh, you know, lower aspects of themselves. Because there's only one life, and that life is God.
Mm-hmm.
So, and can you imagine the tremendous information, tremendous experience that they have gained by doing that? And that's why uh, Dr. George King, the master theorist, said that these are the greatest in your system
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of that. Because they made that sacrifice and continue to make that sacrifice. It's because they gained the experience, they reached the great heights, and then they turned back around in order to serve.
And in that turning back around in order to serve, they were able to gain another set of experiences that that they may not have been able to get otherwise.
Well, it gave them greater. I think gave them greater insight from the way they describe these beings. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it gave them greater insight and almost a greater compassion. To so that they can know they can and so they can know. I mean, if you go back and read some of the missions that His Eminence or Dr. George King put together in his books when they were setting up the satellites or some of the battles they had to fight, they went way out of their way not to hurt anyone. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, ridiculously out of their way.
Yeah, 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 that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they because they understood something that we wrestle with to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that the smallest thing is the smallest, that everything is life. Everything has a spirit, everything has a soul. everything has some type of intelligence, and everything is leading is moving towards a higher intelligence. So then, therefore, everything is God, and everything must be treated as such. And that's something that we wrestle with to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we wrestle hard with that because we would look at something and judge it from its outer appearances, which is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really stupid. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I realized that as a child, that was stupid because the only thing you had to do was to look at a person and see their aura, see their light that radiate from their body, and you know that it's a part of a greater thing. But most people can't see that. They cannot see it. They only look at the outer, and that hold them back for lifetimes, because they can't get to the compassionate side of themselves because they classify people. And that's what the dark forces of the lower hells. They they know that they know that people are so disconnected that they use prejudice, they use these things in order to hold people back for centuries so that they can use them as pawns to create their wealth and their mansions on the lower hills
Mm-hmm.
and this physical earth as well, because they know that people can't see the humanity in other people. They can't see the godlike power. They can see it, but they don't recognize it, and they use that against us.
Okay. And that answers a lot of the questions I had, and I was thinking about it. Um, 'Cause I was wondering why beings would repeatedly sacrifice their experience for the right experiences of others. So they're like Maldek sacrificing itself, um, the Solar Lord sacrificing itself, the Saturn sacrificing itself, the Mother Earth sacrificing itself, um, all the masters who have come to this world sacrificing themselves, the adepts sacrificing themselves, the Great White Brotherhood, they're sacrificing themselves, all to allow lesser beings to continue to gain more experience.
Remember, we don't exist on this physical plane, the astral plane, the etheric planes. I mean, the astral planes or the etheric planes, if these beings don't sacrifice themselves.
Right.
You know, we don't exist in this manner in which we do,
Hmm.
because the sun, everything in this solar system is solidified light. The sun radiate this massive energy, and this energy breaks up into multiple parts and come back together. It fuse back together. The earth, the atmosphere of the earth, the water, the ground, the everything. In order for us to do what? To sustain ourselves.
Hmm.
In order for us to do what? To use the material that 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 the sun gave to the earth in order to build our bodies, in order to sustain our bodies. The mental world that we live in is put here by the earth, by the sun, the moon, and the earth. And that mental world that we operate from, that drives the physical body, the astral body, the etheric body, the mental bodies, all of that is sustained by the sun, the moon, and the earth. See, you don't exist without these beings.
Right.
So in order for them to move on, we have to move on. We have to elevate our consciousness in order to utilize their energy at the level that it needs to be uh, utilized. Other than that, they have to stay here with us, or they have to pass the baton to another great being like them. The sun is a living being. The
Hmm.
earth is
Hmm.
a living being. The moon is a living being. So all of these things need to happen in order to to allow us to live on this physical plane, or the astral plane, or even the mental plane, or the etheric plane. In order for our chakras in order for the soul to build our chakras, they use energy, they use sound,
Hmm.
you know, they use this light, this sound, this this uh this subtle energies in order to build the vortex centers that hold all the bodies together. But all that energy is screaming from the sun. Now humanity is moving towards that, because why? Because now we can use a little tiny part of that with the internet,
Hmm.
with the
Hmm.
radio, with the television. It's the same energy.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
create these images, but if you go back to the ancient texts, that's exactly what they said in the ancient texts, that the sun released these type of rays, and the earth, the moon, take it and build the atmosphere that we live in, build the bodies that we live in. Now we do it electronically through a computer.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So the thing is that everyone play their part. So it's no mystery of why they do this. We are all connected. We are all connected. If they pull back, if the sun pull back all its energies, the earth have to be absorbed back into the sun.
Right. Yes.
Moon have to be absorbed back into the sun.
Hmm.
All of the life forms on earth have to be absorbed back to the sun.
Hmm.
Unless the sun, unless someone else come and take the sun's place. But even so, it still may have to extract, and then something else come into play in order to manifest.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
You know, or the sun lend a part of itself to that individual, and that individual exchange, that individual sun exchange energies with the sun in order to replace. There's always there is magic is actions.
Hmm.
It's a series of actions done properly. You know, things just don't come out of nowhere.
Right.
You know, and all of this is it was written down thousands of years ago. It's just that most people, they don't know how to interpret it properly. Only a
Hmm. Hmm.
few have came to interpret it.
So the final thought I had settled on, um, and including listening to everything you're saying today, and thank you for it, was that experience is freedom, and the highest form of service one can give to another is to sacrifice themselves so that others may gain valuable right experience or divine service, what type of service you can give. And that brought me back to something you said many years ago, that our parents, for example, are like gods to us here on earth, and that they sacrifice a part of themselves in order to allow us to come through and gain experience, and then and continue in our cycles moving on forward in our evolution for that particular incarnation.
Yeah, that is so true. So that's so true. Remember in the I think it was the third freedom, right? Third freedom of service, right?
Yes, bravery, love, service. Yes.
Yeah. And the great Lord of Karma that spoke through Dr. George King at that time said that the greatest religion
It's service.
is service.
Hmm.
Say the greatest act that can be done is service. So that speaks volumes, and of course, service is applied knowledge in action,
Hmm.
which is karma.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
karma
Hmm.
yoga. You know, the greatest yoga, all yoga is karma yoga. There's no yoga outside of karma yoga. Every other yoga is just an aspect of karma yoga. And karma yoga and jnana yoga is one and the same.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Hmm.
You cannot have karma yoga without jnana yoga. You cannot have jnana yoga without karma yoga, because both of those two yogas describe the law. So yeah, so that is so, and it's hard. It's amazing that most people don't get that. I, I mean, that's one of the things that make the Nine Freedoms, the book, The Nine Freedoms, probably one of the greatest books ever written. Because it takes all the knowledge of all the Upanishads and make it so simple
Hmm.
to understand in 9 chapters.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter where you go inside the Upanishads, inside the Vedas or the Upanishads, almost any Bible. If you read that book and go back to those ancient teachings, you will always understand it because of those 9 freedoms. So that doesn't mean you dismiss those great teachings, no,
Right. Right. Right.
but it's the key to understanding those great teachings.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about it. I took so much time with my questions. So here's a couple of questions here. Hari, uh, I think we did answer that question, but I'll pose it anyway. Can you tell me the perspective? Well, if it's okay with you, Hardy, I'm going to expand your question a bit. Can you tell me the right or proper perspective in which to view or see the world? Is it to be an optimist or a pessimist, or to be indifferent of the experiences and the situations in the world?
Um, I don't know how to answer that. I think I just answered it, though.
Yeah, that's you answered that. Yeah.
But yeah, you always look at things as they are, not as you want them to be, or as you perceive them to be through your limited perception. And one of the ways I did, and I was taught to do it, is to is to observe things not from just my perspective, but from other people's perspective, and also the law, the divine law of karma, before I make my next move. And always realize that there's always something behind that thing. If that thing was allowed to happen, there's something behind it, and there's something that's coming after it because of its actions. In other words, you cannot have an action without a previous action or an initiating action. And if you made an action, then there's a series of other actions that need to happen, and that's when you use the divine law of karma in order to examine what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Other than that, you walk into a world of chaos, and that's also called predetermining your actions, because part of predetermining your actions is a mental perspective of what to do next and what what you just did or what someone just did that's going to cause the next series of actions that you have to face or experience. So you do it. The Buddhists, some Buddhist monks, and the Buddhists is not the only ones that do this, but just talking about the Buddhists, they one of the reasons why they created their monasteries is to, instead of going into the caves, they created a monastery in order to limit their actions. And inside that monastery, they particularly take care of their whole environment. That's why you see them creating the gardens. They have a daily task. They have a regiment. They don't kill any bugs. They don't kill any. They don't try to kill anything. They live a vegetarian diet. They just try to create a world of positive actions so that they predetermine how their life will be. And multiple religions did that in order to fall within the divine laws of karma. So that is the extreme way of doing things, but you can do that without doing all of that, because you can live among people so that you can live as an example to people, to the people around you, and even to yourself.
Hmm.
So by just trying to predetermine your actions and doing the right thing. So it's like coding. You code you code everything so that it follows a particular pathway to produce what you want it to be, produced, so that you can determine what the results are going to be. And that's one of the great powers of mantra. If you chant the mantra every day for so many hours a day and so many times a day, you code your aura so that it breathes and project positive energy, because you burn up all the negative energy within the auric substance, or all the surface negative energies within the. So you're not building up so much negative energy as you move from point A to point B, point B to point C, and then back to point A. Because you begin to uh, what I'm say, you begin to reflect any negative energy that comes to you. It can't land and make resonance in your auric substance.
Hmm.
If you chant your mantra, if you think positive, if you pray on a daily basis, you cannot be uh, seduced into the negative waves of energy that surround us, all this gray mist that surround us on a daily basis. I hope that answered the question.
And hey, Marcus, thank you for joining us. Anyone else, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them in the chat and We will answer those for you. All right, so with the time we have remaining, let's pick up here with the Nadi system, chapter 5, and I will keep the chat window open here, and I'll occasionally move back and forth so I can see if there are any questions you have. We won't finish chapter 5 today, but we'll get a good ways through. All right, so last time we looked at the chakras, and now let's take a look at the Nadi system. The Nadi system is usually seen as man's subtle nervous system, or the etheric nervous system. That is the subtle nervous electronic system behind the physical nervous system, which processes intelligent stimuli throughout the nervous system, which includes the brain, the spinal system, and nerve ganglia. In this presentation, I hope to present a fuller meaning of this Nadi system and show the mystic science behind the Nadi system. In the first chapter, we talked about the spirit and the soul manipulating this power called Shiva and Shakti with the power of Nada. This power of Nada is a neutral force that manifests itself as a sonic vibration that has the ability to manipulate the positive power Shiva and the negative power Shakti. This brings about the unique ability to create or modify this force called cosmic energy or prana. And we'll probably get to the discussion on prana next session. The soul spoke the word, and from the word came a long, thin, sonic line of force that wrapped itself around the manifested points of the soul's consciousness. These thin, sonic vibrational lines of force created thousands of geometrical angles, forming what are called the nadis. Within the nadis are various frequencies of cosmic energies, or pranas. The rotational movement of the nadis seem to have created various frequencies of energy patterns. These energy patterns assist the soul in defining its points of consciousness called nadi nuts, or chakras. Excuse me. These nadi knots are the focal points that transform and transmute cosmic energies into thousands of various forms and frequencies. The nadi knots bring about a tremendous pressure on the universal supply of prana and the universal mind substance that surround us. These nadi knots draw the pranas within the nadi system, and these nadis serve to slow down the pranas and mind substance to bring about the grosser manifestation of these energies. The cosmic energies being magnetically pulled into these nadi knots have been affected or conditioned by three major celestial forces. These modifications of the cosmic energies come from the sun, moon, and earth. The ancient tantric teachings, as translated by Sir Arthur Avalon in the book Serpent Power, and Rama Prasad in his book Nature Finer Forces, describe the modifications as tattvas, energy modes of motion. They describe these tattvas as tattvic rays, radionic modes of motion that have been modified by the sun, moon, and earth. The modification of these cosmic energies created certain signature patterns that brought about tremendous pressures on the cosmic energies and mind substance within the nadi matrices created by the nadi system. These pressures created by the nadi knots and nadi system slow down the cosmic energies to allow the manifestation of the soul's various tools of expression in order to manage its involutional and evolutional journeys. The following is a brief explanation of the Nadi system as described from the mystic point of view. The Nadi system is a series of sonic tube-like vibrations that surrounds the manifested points of man's soul. These thin tubes act like sonic vibrations that make thousands of geometric patterns around these manifested points of the soul. which creates a magnetic web that draws on the all-pervasive cosmic energies and the universal mind substance, which brings these two mighty forces into gross manifestation. The soul skillfully designed this nadi system to bring the house of this God presence, to build the house of this God presence that manifests within it, behind it, through it, and around it. Using the directives of spirit, the soul builds the first temple of God and brings into manifestation the consciousness of the soul. These nadis, or thin lines of force, are created by the soul with the sonic vibrations from the almighty creative word of the Absolute, which permeates throughout the universe and is the creative force behind everything. Because the nadi system is a divine sonic vibration, its various frequencies of sound are designed with the sonic signatures to bring into being the necessary tools of expression into manifestation for the soul. These sonic signatures, which can be described as the karmic pressures that dictate the will of the Absolute, God, are known as the 36 tattvas, or modification principles, which are sonic frequencies of the creative word that holds man in manifestation. The tattvas are the invisible forces that the soul uses to direct, shape, and form the nadi system to aid the soul in the journey through involution to evolution. These tattvic rays are described as 360 tattvic rays that are radiated from the sonic vibrations issued by the solar logos, the mighty sun, 365 days a year. These 360 rays illuminate the earth in the forms of fire, sun, and moon. These 360 rays are subdivided within the subtler bodies of man as follows. There are 118 tattvic fire rays, Agni, within the two lower major chakras, or nadi knots. The 106 tattvic sun rays, Surya, within the third and fourth major chakras, or nadi knots, and 136 tattvic moon rays, Chandra, within the fifth and sixth major chakras, or nadi knots. The tattvic forces exert pressures on the nadis to define the nadi knots, or chakras, and to direct, shape, and form the nadi system, which also creates what is called a group of tattvic rays. And there are a group of tattvic rays within each nadi knot. These tattvic rays are subtle, cosmic, sensitive material with tremendous potential to shape, mold, and produce various qualities of cosmic energies, etheric matter, and gross matter. Each chakra located on the spinal column has a definite number of tattvic rays within its lotus that radiate various qualities and produce tremendous power. These six chakras share 360 tattvic rays, divided in an unequaled number along the spinal vertebrae. The base of the spine has 56 tattvic rays. This group is named Bhuta, which means that which can become. The Bhuta are cosmic particles that have the potential of all the other five tattvic ray groups within the chakras. The sex center has 62 tattvic rays, which are named Apas and represents the power of water. The solar plexus center has 52 tattvic rays. This group is named Agni, which represents the power of fire. The heart center has 54 tattvic rays. This group is named Vayu, which represents the power of air. The throat center has 72 tattvic rays, and this group is named Akasha, which represents the power of ether. And the Christ center has 64 tattvic rays, and this group is named Manas, which represents the power of mind. If you are able to follow the line of this Shakti power thus far, you can see the tremendous subtle resources of cosmic energies, mind substances, and tattvic matter available for the soul to contain and manage throughout the many levels of conscious states created by the involution of the manifested pure consciousness of the soul. The nadis, being that direct result of the Shakti released from the unmanifested portion of the soul, Shiva with Shakti unmanifested, has this tremendous creative cosmic power flowing through it, and as the soul moves to involve itself and slow down this cosmic creative power, it defines these nadi knots to redirect this cosmic energy and activate the tantric matter that has been stored in the nadi knots as the cosmic karmic signatures and specifications for holding manifestation in place. These nadi knots, which are vortex centers of tremendous cosmic energies, mind substance, and tantric rays, vibration and modification rays from the solar logos, with cosmic specifications, are used by the soul to manipulate subtle and gross manifestation. As stated in the last paragraph, each chakra has a specific number of tantric rays, which are used to act as a balancing mechanism for the solar logos connection to human existences. Before going on, let me introduce one more point that may help to connect the dots to understanding this ancient metaphysical science. The power of Shakti is activated by the Absolute, God, releasing a cosmic vibration, cosmic sound, which brings about perpetuator motion. This continued motion serves to subdivide the Shakti power through an involutional process over and over again until it reaches a point of equilibrium, the point of embodied consciousness. This equilibrium comes about when the Shakti power coils itself back around the Shiva at the base of the spine. The point of equilibrium begins when it starts to uncoil itself and move backwards towards the Absolute as Shiva and Shakti in a state of complete equilibrium. This is an evolutional process, which also is activated by the cosmic vibration and is kept in manifestation by perpetuator motion. This motion created in the evolutional process is also brought about by a sonic vibration being released by the celestial beings within the solar systems and galaxies, etc. These 6 chakras are divided into 3 groups which are called Granthi knots. These 3 Granthis are knots created with the chakras within the Nadi system that's designed to further help block and slow down the subtler cosmic energies that flows freely through the Nadic system. The first Granthi knot is the Rudra Granthi, and it is made up with the base of the spine and the sex center, along with the Sushumna Nadi. Like the Granthi knots, it's designed to help block and slow down the free flow of cosmic energies within man's various subtle and physical bodies. The second Granthi knot is the Vishnu Granthi, which is made up with the solar plexus center and the heart center along the Sushumna Nadi. The third Granthi knot is the Brahma Granthi, which is made up with the throat center and the Christ center along the Sushumna Nadi. It is said that when the yogi is capable of untangling these knots, he moves from the realms of mortals to immortals. Let me stop here. If there's any questions. Okay. All right, no questions so far. Continue on. Table 5.2, English names of the chakras and their tattvic ray groups. First is the base of the spine of the Muladhara chakra. Its etheric element is Prathivi. Its tattva is Bhuta. Contains 56 tattvic rays, and it is of the group fire or Agni Kanda, and its conversion point is the Rudra Granthi. Second is the sex center of Svadhisthana chakra. Its element is Apas. Its tattva is Agni, contains 62 tattvic rays, and it too belongs to the Agni Kanda and Rudra Granthi. Next are the solar plexus center, or the Manipura chakra. Its etheric element is Agni. Tattva is Apas, contains 52 tattvic rays, and its group name is the Sun or Surya. It belongs or composes the Vishnu Granthi. Then we have the heart center or the Anahata chakra. Its element is Vayu. Its tattva is Vayu. And it contains 54 tattvic rays, also belonging to the Surya group and the Vishnu Granthi. Next are the throat center or the Vishuddha chakra. Its element and tattva is Akasa, 72 tattvic rays. The group is the moon or Chanda group, and its conversion point is the Brahma Granthi. And then we have the Christ center or the Ajna chakra. Etheric element and tattva is Manas, 64 tattvic rays, and is also part of the Chandra group and Brahma Granthi. And altogether, those are 360 tattvic rays. Within the nadi system, there are three major types of nadis: the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna nadi. There are 14 named nadis, and the above mentioned nadis are the chief major nadis that set and define the types of nadis. The Ida nadis are the negative vibrational force within the nadis. The Pingala nadis is the positive vibrational force within nadis. And the Sushumna nadi is the neutral vibrational force within the nadi system, where both the Ida and Pingala force travel together. These three types of nadis create a web system surrounding the points of consciousness called bindus, and described as nadinats or chakras. These points of consciousness have a magnetic effect on the environment, thereby allowing the soul to operate on several levels of consciousness or states of existence at one and the same time as it makes its journey through involution to evolution. I will go in greater detail later in this book on the nature and function of the nadis. The following table describes the chief major nadis and 14 named nadis. 3 nadis that are the chief major nadi and 11 major nadis. Sushumna nadi, located in the central area of the spinal cord, a tiny hollow canal within the spinal cord that extends from the base of the spine up to the crown chakra. In this Sushumna nadi, the Ida and Pingala nadi forces travel together as one energy in one direction. 2. Ida nadis. These chief types of nadis are located on the left sympathetic chain, which stretches from under the left nostril to below the left kidney in the form of a bent bow. These nadis are the lines of force that travel on the left side of the auric magnetic field that make up the mental and energetic matrices of consciousness. This is the negative force of nadis, which represents the feminine force within the nadis. By manipulating the left nostril, this flow of mental energies can be utilized effectively. 3. Pingala nadis. These chief types of nadis are located on the corresponding chain of the right side of the body. The Pingala nadis are the vital lines of force that produce a positive charge of energies flowing on the right side of the auric magnetic matrix of forces. This positive force of nadis represents the masculine force of the nadic system. The Pingala nadi is controlled by manipulating the right nostril through various pranayama techniques. Kuhu nadis. These major nadic subtle lines of force move from the genitals or Svadhisthana chakra and anus area to the head region, where minor and major chakras manipulate the mind and vital energies for speech. This nadi is also called the new moon channel. The Kuhu nadi travels on the left side, on the back left side of Sushumna, or spinal cord, extending from the genitals to the tongue. Ganhari nadi. This major nadis are located on the back of the left sympathetic chain and are supposed to stretch from below the left eye to the left leg. It moves consciousness and subtle energies from the brain region to the leg region, which helps to create a background matrix for mind and pranic forces. Number 6, Hasti Jiva Nadi. Located on the front of the left sympathetic chain, stretching from below the left eye to the big toe of the left foot on the same supposition as before. Sarasvati Nadi. The meaning to Sarasvati is said to be she who flows. This nadi is located on the right side of Sushumna and stretches from the Muladhara chakra up to the tongue. It is said that Sarasvati nadi must be active before the Kundalini can begin to ascend along Sushumna, the central channel. Pusha nadi, nourishing current, located at the back of the right sympathetic chain, stretching from the corner of the right eye to the abdomen. Payasvini nadi, watery current, located between the Pusha nadi and Sarasvati nadi and extends to the left ear. Sankhini nadi, located between the Ganhari and Sarasvati auricular branch of the cervical plexus on the left. Yasasasvini nadi, excuse me, located in the front of the right sympathetic chain, stretching from the right thumb to the left leg. Varuna nadi, located at the nerves of the sacred plexus between Kuhu and Sasasvini, ramifying over the lower trunk and limbs. Visvodhara nadi, located at the nerves of the lumbar plexus between Kuhu and Hasdijiva, ramifying over the lower trunk and limbs. And the Alambusa nadi, located at the coxal nerve, proceeding from the sacred vertebrae to the urinogenital organs. The human body is a complex vehicle that the soul has devised in order to work on a gross manifested state of consciousness. Behind this gross human body are tremendous subtler forces that create the opportunity to allow this gross manifestation to stay in an existence. This can be called the chakra system of the human body. Okay, 1 second here. Let's do. We'll do consciousness and we'll do. Okay, that's chapter 6. Okay, chapter 6 there. What do you think, Nehemiah? Should we stop here and pick up next time? Because there's consciousness, and then it goes into the state,
What comes after that?
mind, and that's the supra, sub, and conscious mind, and then goes into prana.
How many pages after that?
I think it goes to 109. It's about maybe.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in so far, I would think.
Yeah. So I'll stop here for now because I want to,
If you're trying to connect the dots.
yeah. So it goes to 104. Chapter 6 picks up on 105.
And what
And
they,
you don't get into prana until class 2. You talk about mind, but you don't you mention prana in class 1 of the 21 lessons, the pranas and the cosmic energies. But you don't start breaking it down into the types of prana in the body until class 2 and class 3. So I'll hold prana until then, but you do talk about mind in class 1 and 2. So you pick up in prana at 103. That's about 2 pages of that. And so there's about 3, 4 pages. So yeah, I'll stop here. Consciousness, I'll pick up here. Okay. Any questions? Are there any comments? I know we covered quite a bit today. So I'll leave these last 10 or 15 minutes open for everyone. If you have any questions you want to ask before we close out today's session. There is, well, although it may be difficult for everyone to find, but I want to bring this document to everyone's attention. So we had many times over the years received the question of, are there any books or um, reading that we recommend? Um, and I know just telling you to go to the website and download all the books and read them can be overwhelming. So, a couple of years ago, Mr. Davis put together this write-up on recommended readings. And in Meetup, uh, on Meetup, we are called the My Metaphysical Study Group. There used to be a files section where we can upload files, documents, images, and share that freely with everyone who had joined us on Meetup. That file section is still there, but I think they're trying to move people away from that. And so they hid that feature deep within Meetup somewhere, and it's really hard to find if it's even still up. But this document, I think I'm gonna go through it first, clean up a bit, and then I'll upload it to our shared folder. But as you can see here, there is a list of authors and that are recommended, as well as the text that those authors wrote to go along with them. And so, for example, we'll start here with Yogi Ramacharaka, and then it goes to a brief write-up of that author along with the books that are recommended. Additionally, like I mentioned earlier, um, most, if not all, of these books are made available online that you can download for free, or you can purchase them if you want a physical copy from Amazon. You can find them online at various sites, or you can go to our website, mysticknowledge.org, and find most, if not all, of these books available for you to download. So, for example, here for Yogi Ramacharaka, The Science of Breath, 14 Lessons, Advanced Course, and so on. All these books um, are on our website. Then you have Sir John Woodroffe, Arthur Avalon, a brief write-up about them, a brief biography about them, as well as the books we recommend. And most of these, I believe, are available on our website. Same thing with Madame Hel Madame Blavatsky, and so on and so forth. So this can be part of your toolkit. And if you want to have one idea of where to start and gain more information about the mystic and occult sciences, then here's the recommended readings and authors that we endorse as well. Okay, so this document, I'm gonna go, yeah, there's a couple of edits and proofread I'm gonna make, but then I'll upload it to our Google Drive shared folder. So if you look on the description on YouTube under this video, at the very bottom, there should be a link to a Google Drive shared folder. And if you follow that link, um, you should see it'll take you to that shared folder, and there's um, handouts that we've given over the years, especially since we've been doing these open discussion series, are made available there. And you can download the other handouts, and I'll also include other handouts as we go along. And if in any of these classes you see a handout that I put up, but and you don't find it there in the folder, please send me an email and let me know, and I'll um, get permission to put that particular handout or diagram or illustration um, in the share folder. The exception being um, some of the published works, like Mr. Davis's first two books, The Ancient Language of the Soul and The Miracle of Prayer, which we were just reading from a few minutes ago. And no further questions or comments, or is there anything you want to add, Nehemiah, before we close out today?
No, no, that's it.
Right, so
That
let's,
that was that was actually that was done a long time ago, right?
yeah, it was. I think like what year was that?
Most of those are on the website.
Yeah, all of those books on the website and the write-up is there too.
Yeah.
Um, but I know people have asked me for recommended what should we read, what book should I read, whatever. I know I've told some people, oh, just go to the website and there's several books there you can choose from. People told me it's a bit overwhelming, and I remember you had this a write-up together, recommended readings. It was made like in 2010 or 2013, something like that.
Yeah, that was I think that was actually done before you joined us.
Oh, okay, okay.
The website was there before you joined us.
Yes, yes. Oh, where's the New Lord's Prayer? I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so there's no other questions. Let's go ahead and close out with reciting of the New Lord's Prayer. Oh, New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, In great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attendance and participation. Next session, we will continue with mind, consciousness and mind. And I believe that'll take us no more than 30 minutes to read through. And then we'll jump into the transcript for class one of the 21 lesson series. So if you haven't had the chance to review that series yet, please do so prior to next week or our next session, which may or may not be next week. Or most likely will be next week. Stay tuned to Meetup and to your email for an announcement to go out informing you of when our sessions will be held. If you do have any other questions or comments, by all means, feel free to email us and we'll do our best to answer your questions and respond to you either via email or in a subsequent session. Please let us know how you would like us to respond. If you're comfortable with us answering it publicly in another session, let us know. Otherwise, we'll respond to you via email privately. Other than that, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Take care.